5 Worst Movie Monsters. Most people appreciate a good movie monster, but who doesn't also appreciate a really bad movie monster? Not just a lazily made, overdone monster like the sharks from any number of Jaws ripoffs or some sci-fi original movie. These top 5 are hilarious creatures that were truly deranged in design or execution and then put into a serious movie. Number 5. Ooh, at number 5, Deathbed, the Pet That Eats. As weird as the human eating piano of Hossu is, it turns out American filmmaker George Barry thought up something even sillier in 1972 and spent 5 years making it. Endowed with life because of the blood of a murder victim, it now digests people with a yellow fluid, even if they attempt to stab it with a knife. And you can't help but dig that synthesizer music used when it eats. Number 4. Birdemic Shock and Terror's Birdies are at number 4, proving that the powers of directors to overextend themselves have only become greater in recent years. This 2010 movie by James Guan manages to raise ripping off a hit of yesteryear to a new low. While just doing Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds Again with an incredibly earnest environmentalist plot sounds normal, these aren't any regular birds. They have the ability to spit acid onto humans that kills crowds of them in less than a minute. They have the ability to swoop into the ground and explode in ways that blow up based on what we are shown, anything from a gas pump to a building. None of the acting or writing is so much as 1% better, but the first shot where the birds attack is probably the funniest single second of the movie. Number 3. Coming in at 3, The Creeping Terrors Aliens. In 1964, this movie explored the possibility of aliens that sent probes to Earth that were mobile laboratories. They were to simulate consuming alien beings, analyze their bodies, and then transmit data to aid in designing bioweapons to be used on that alien world. That's what it turns out is supposed to be happening in Creeping Terror. What actually happens is what looks like part of a decommissioned hot air balloon is draped over a bunch of people, while a person or two are in front holding up a papier-mâché head with tubes extending off it like dreadlocks. It's a monster so slow and cumbersome, people have to actually assist their being eaten by climbing into its mouth. Number 2. At 2 are robot monsters, Ro-Men. While living carpets and ping-pong-eyed aliens are one thing, how about aliens in gorilla suits with diving helmets for their heads? 1953's robot monster does indeed have the silliest, most laughable version of aliens, both in terms of how seriously they and the movies they are in insist on being taken. In this movie, a small family on vacation is the only group of people to escape the genocidal onslaught of the Ro-Men, which is shown through the use of stock World War II footage. And so, Ro-Man spends the movie trying to find and kill them too. Number 1. The Edge of Hell Rock and Roll Nightmares Demons Again. They're only on screen for a handful of minutes at the end of this 1987 horror film, but they are 80% of the reason to watch it, and that's why they are number 1. Before that, the movie is a cookie-cutter fantasy slasher movie where a metal hand called the Tritons, led by John Triton, goes out to a farmhouse to record some music and then gets killed off one by one. Then the cast is reduced to Triton, his girlfriend Randy is killed, and then the demon takes her form and goes into the recording studio where Triton sits and mocks him with the deaths of his bandmates, about which Triton is nonchalant. What happens from there really should not be described. But if you really must know, it turns out that the band leader is actually an archangel descended to Earth. He does battle with the goofy Satan puppet and his demon puppet minions who look like they belong to HR Pufnstuf, even if one of them does have blood on its mouth. Said fight consists of Satan throwing little demonic starfish at Triton and then wrestling him, which seems really unfair seeing as how the Satan puppet is barely capable of moving its lips, let alone wrestling well. It really does make a movie that is 80% tedium all worth it.